Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Got an pistol red dot to take a look at. This is a brand new release from Zulisy, and the model is the S6-GM. This red dot is somewhat unique in that it's specifically made for a full-size Glock with the MOS slide, and you don't need any of the adapter plates to mount this to your Glock. And I say somewhat unique because there are literally hundreds of red dot manufacturers, and all the big names you guys know, such as Trijicon or Vortex or Loophole or Sig or whoever, they do not make a direct mount MOS red dot. There's only two companies of the hundreds that make them. One is Holosun, and they only make one red dot. It's called the SCS. And then there's another company called C&H Precision. Every other company makes their red dot, and then you have to use a plate like this to put down on your slide, and then you mount the red dot to this plate. And that kind of does two things. One is it puts the red dot up higher, and you can't use your factory sights a lot of times. And two, it's just more things where the screws can potentially move and you might lose zero. So stick around if you want to learn about this red dot. We'll do a real quick unboxing. We'll go over all the features and specifications. I'll show you guys what the dot actually looks like. We'll get it mounted to this Glock 19 here. Probably get out to the range, do a little bit of testing with it, and then give some thoughts on it. Quickly show you around this box here. Again, this is going to be for full-size Glocks. It's not for the 43X or the 48. Looks like they're using some type of special coating there on that lens. Kind of allows for more light transmission. Show you some of the stuff over here. This is going to have shake awake or motion awake. So it looks like after about 4 minutes, this thing will power itself off. With any movement, it'll come right back on. It's going to be using a 1632 battery or IPX7 waterproof rated. So you can use this in the rain, snow, humid climates, drop it in a puddle. Should be fine. Shockproof 1500 G, so this should work for any caliber that you're putting it on. This will even work on rifles and shotguns, wouldn't be a problem. And it is made out of 7075 aluminum, so that's an upgrade over the 6061. Looks like this is going to have two different colors for the emitter. I'm actually not sure what color I have here. We'll find that out in a bit. It's going to be using a 6 MOA dot, and our window size looks like it's about 1 inch across and 0.67 inches in height. All right, let's see how things are packaged and what all we get with this. So it looks like there's a little card kind of talking about that coating and stuff on the lens. Some kind of warning. Looks like a manual. Lens cleaning cloth. We're going to have multiple tools here. Some screws. Looks like several sets of screws. There's our battery. And then it looks like the dot itself, which does include a cover. Those screws were both M3s, and one's 10 millimeter and one is 11 millimeter. I'm not going to show you the entire manual, but I did want you to see that there are plenty of pictures and everything is labeled very clearly, easy to read and understand. And it looks like they have a lifetime warranty on this, and they are not a brand new company. I've been doing reviews for them for several years now, so you can kind of rest assured on that. We'll quickly take a look at this cover here. I definitely appreciate that they put their company logo and branding right there on the top of that. Let's pull this off. So that is a fairly thick rubber. It kind of keeps it shaped pretty well when you're squeezing on it. So here is the S6-GM. Again, they got their logo kind of there. They got it up there. First impressions just pulling this out of the box is this feels very, very robust. The housing around this is super thick. The sidewalls here are very thick. The lens is kind of recessed back, so you can like rack this on a table or whatever if you need to, not have to worry about scratching or busting out or anything. Looks like our brightness adjustments are going to be fairly flush with that body there. We'll have to see how difficult that is to change them. But some manufacturers do that to prevent accidental changes. So like if this were to get bumped or hit against something, it won't change your brightness on you. We're going to have our elevation adjustment back here. Windage over on the side. It's going to be a side load battery. Looks like our emitter is down in there. Actual dimensions. We are looking at 1.9 inches in length. Our total width is 1.4, and our total height is 1.1. This rear height, so you kind of know about your sights, is 0.32 inches. Grab a weight on this guy. We're looking at 1.8 ounces, which is 52 grams. I'm going to get the battery thrown in it here. This tool here, the edge of this is for that battery door. The flathead here, slotted screwdriver, is to be able to adjust like your elevation and windage. And then over here is how you can put your screws in. They included these other 2 wrenches here as well. And it's kind of the same thing. This one here is a slotted screwdriver, and then the same like Torx or star bit there. All right, let's get this turned on for the first time. We're going to press that plus button there to turn it on. This is going to have 10 brightness levels. I'm just going to push it a bunch and see if we're up to 10. 8 of them are going to be visible like in the daylight, and then 2 of them you do have to have night vision binoculars or whatever to be able to see through it. So we're going to say that's 10 right there. Let's go down through them. That's 9, 8, 7, 6. Those buttons are very positive. 5, 4, 3. I can still sort of see that a little bit even on the lowest setting right there. I'm sure like in the daylight that would be very hard to see though, but that definitely gets very, very bright. And again, that's a 6 MOA dot there. As far as like the hue or the color distortion, there's just a little bit of like a grayish blue when you look there compared to the white over here. It's not bad, but you can definitely tell there is a slight difference. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, this does have shake awake or motion awake technology. So basically, like if this is sitting in your holster, or maybe it's in your safe or wherever, if this does not detect motion or any movement or whatever for about 4 minutes, it will power itself down to conserve this battery. And then just like with the slightest bump or any movement, it's automatically right back on. But let's say that you don't want to rely on that shake awake to power itself off. You can manually shut it off. You just come here to this power button and press and hold it for about 2 or 3 seconds and it will shut off. But now with movement, it will not come back on. You have to turn it back on manually. And as far as that shake awake goes, I'm starting this video today on March 18th. You probably aren't seeing this until sometime in April, and between now and then I will check this dozens if not hundreds of times. I'll just leave the gun basically sitting on a table or nightstand or something, walk by, make sure it's off, pick it up and make sure it comes on immediately. I'm going to get this mounted on this Glock 19 just so YouTube knows I'm working with a completely safe firearm here. There's no ammo anywhere around. And by putting a red dot on a pistol, it does not modify this pistol in any way whatsoever. It still does exactly what it was originally manufactured to do. So like I mentioned earlier, for basically almost every red dot in the world, you had to take a plate like this on these MOS Glocks. You have to put this plate down, and then you have to put screws in here to secure the plate to the slide. Then you take your red dot and put on top of here, and it's a different set of screws and a different size of screws that puts this down to the plate. It's kind of a weird setup, but with this here, you bypass that plate and this will mount directly down here like this, and then we'll get those 2 screws in. And you can see how much lower this sets this, and once I get those screws in, we'll be able to still use our sights. And just so you know, the screws that they provide do have blue Loctite on them already. And once it is installed, that is what it's going to look like. And as you can see, this is a very low profile rear deck here. These are just plastic Glock factory sights, but I can still see my front sight pretty easily through this. And also, as you can see, that viewing window is huge. I think it was, what, just over an inch or so, but yeah, that's really nice. Let's quickly check and see what these windage and elevation adjustments are like. Very positive, audible. You can feel every click, hear every click. And I also want to check holster fitment, just because this does stick out past the slide a little bit. We'll see what this is like here. Yep, no troubles at all. Alright guys, I'm out at the range this morning with that Zulisy red dot. I'm going to get it sighted in and then probably put 50 to 100 rounds total through it, just to make sure there aren't any problems with the dot flickering or shutting off or anything crazy like that. Well, I'm happy to report that I didn't have any issues whatsoever out at the range. So what do I think about this Zulisy S6-GM? Overall, really impressed with it and would definitely recommend it. This thing is built like a tank and is using premium materials such as like the upgraded like the 7075 aluminum. It has that IPX7 waterproof rating. So again, you can use this in the rain, snow, humid climates, drop it in puddles, whatever, you're going to be fine. It also has that 1500 Gs of recoil rating. So pretty much any pistol caliber, you're going to be able to put this on. And I know it's a small thing, but I do like how your windage and elevation clicks are both audible and palpable. This optic has a huge window. It makes it really easy to find that dot. The glass is super clear. There's no like fisheye or distortion of any kind. The dot itself is very bright, very crisp. There's no like halo or starbursting around it. I like that it has that shake awake that helps, you know, preserve your battery somewhat. I tested that dozens of times over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's worked flawlessly every single time. And probably one of the most important things is I like how this is a direct mount to an MOS slide. You don't need any of those adapter plates, and it gets the optic much lower so you can still use your factory height sights. And finally, I like how they're offering a lifetime warranty on this optic. I honestly really don't have a whole lot of negatives with this one. If I had some wishes, the first would be hopefully they make this with a green emitter at some point. And I guess second would be maybe have like a multiple reticle version. So if you want like a circle or a circle dot, you can have that as well. So this optic is available on Amazon, and they're coming in at a pretty amazing price. That's honestly about $100 cheaper than the C&H Precision MOS dot, and about half the price of what the Holosun, the SCS is. And I'll leave that Amazon link down in the video description in case you guys want to find out more information on the optic, or if you want to read some of the other reviews. But alright guys, if you found the video helpful or informative in any way, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.